Is a shrimp plant edible? Ha! When I first heard the name of this plant, I thought, what kind of plant is this? Then I found out about it. Here's why I wanted to have this plant in my garden, and you may want it also. The shrimp plant is native to Mexico, but it has naturalized in Florida and also grows in warm areas along the southern United States. Its USDA hardiness zone is 9 through 11, but in selected areas that are protected in zone 8B, it can also survive. As a plant for your garden, it grows somewhere between 2 and 4 feet high and about 1.5 feet wide. It's considered kind of spindly in its branching. Let's go check out this plant growing in my garden and how it might fit in your area. My shrimp plant is growing in a full sun area and gets partial afternoon shade, filtered light. This is the reddish or maroon color. It gets its name because of its unusual flower shape. The bloom form, the flower, is the white part coming out of these bracts. The bracts are actually a specialized form of leaf. The real flower is the whitish pinkish flower. Because of the form of the flower, it got the name shrimp plant. It sort of looks like eyes of shrimp and part of the tail of the shrimp. Not being a shrimp expert, I'm going to have to go on what other people say. This is the big attraction for hummingbirds, that tubular shaped flower that they love. And it's also attractive to larger butterflies, especially those with the longer proboscis that can reach into the flowers. You can see some of the other flowers that are blooming. It has greenish leaves, and in the warmer zones like zone 10 and zone 11, this plant grows all year round. In zone 9, depending if you're in the warmer end of 9, you may have it grow and not die back in the wintertime. Some people can grow it in 8B with protection. When there's a frost and a freeze, the plant will die back. My area is on the borderline. I'm up in north central Florida, and my experience so far is my plant does die back. When we get a frost, the plant will grow back if the roots are established. The medium soil, it really prefers a rich soil with organic matter. I did add some compost to this soil when I transplanted my shrimp plant. The soil, wide range of tolerance of soil. It can grow from acidic soil like 5.5 up to a more neutral soil pH, which would be about 7. Soil well drained. This area, the soil is not soggy nor is it wet. Water requirements are moderate to moist. I water this plant once a week if it doesn't rain, and I consider that moderate. Even during a drought, I've been watering it once a week, and the plant has thrived. The bloom time, in the warmer zones, it blooms late winter to early spring, and in my area, which is cooler zone 9A, it blooms in midsummer. What's nice is that it blooms through the fall until frost for hummingbirds, especially those that are migrating down to Caribbean and Mexico for overwintering. Some gardening tips for success. Mulch. Important both for summertime and especially if you're in a cooler zone and the plants die back in the winter. A 2 to 3 inch mulch for the summer to keep the roots moist and for weed control. For wintertime, the 3-inch mulch to prevent damage to the roots from any freezing temperatures and to keep the moisture available to the roots. I use mini pine bark nuggets. Those are of course, somewhat acidic, and that's fine for the plant. You could use pine straw, not cypress. Cypress is harvested in the wild, and we have no way to replace the plants in the wild. So we are slowly losing lots of our cypress here in Florida due to harvesting for mulch. So please do not use cypress as a mulch on your plants. Second garden tip, dieback. If you're in a cooler zone like I am, 8B, 9A, and you have frost and freezing temperatures, expect your plant to die back. They'll start to regrow in mid to late spring, so patience is important. The plant will grow back from its of the roots, so you'll begin to see growth starting mid to late spring. Gardening tip number 3, fertilizer. Use a well-balanced fertilizer like 10-10-10 and apply it in the spring or late spring before new growth starts. This plant can benefit from pruning, and there are several times where you could consider pruning this. If you're concerned about the height or the spindliness of the plant, you can prune it during active growth. I learned about doing that though is sometimes you lose bloom. So another good time to consider pruning your plant would be after it flowers, and then you can cut it back, and that will help it be more compact form. The gardening tip for success: when to plant. You can plant or repot this plant in the springtime after last frost date in your area, and anytime really from then until midsummer. Garden design ideas for this plant include using it as a specimen in a container, a large container. Remember, it's a shrub. If you have a large container and you've got a mixture of perennials and other plants, you can use it as a border, and you can use it in a hummingbird or butterfly garden. I love having it in a mixed garden area. I have it there as a specimen, and it does attract hummingbirds. I want that garden to have beautiful blooming plants from spring until fall, and this plant was a perfect addition to the back of the garden, and you might want to do that in your yard. Additional ideas could be in a courtyard if you have a small area. They're beautiful plants, quite spectacular looking, so they add a lovely interest with a mixed planting. Just a note, the shrimp plant that I'm talking about is the red shrimp plant with the origin in Mexico. There's also a plant on the market called a yellow or golden shrimp plant. It is a different species. I'm glad I added this red shrimp plant to my garden, especially when I saw the hummingbird come regularly. If you want something that's unusual and spectacular, easy to grow, consider adding a red shrimp plant to your yard. And if you have experience with this plant, I'd love to hear about how it's growing in your garden. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe, Garden Yay, for more gardening tips and information. See you again soon.